not just supplements and functional foods, legal developments, ingredient news, education, inspiration, entertainment, insider in the afternoon.
Happy New Year, everybody!
Happy New Year!
Woohoo!
Great to see everybody again.
Right?
Good to see you.
Happy New Year. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you? How was your break?
It was good. I was taking chocolate supplements with nothing in them but chocolate and sugar.
As one should. As one should. So.
You know, that helped me get through the holidays. That and some candy cane. I guess is that what would that be? It's not a gummy. No.
It's an adaptogen, I'm sure.
How come they don't have that? Shouldn't they have like supplements that you could just like suck on like a candy cane? You know, peppermint. Maybe it'd put
I bet they do. I bet they do. Yeah.
That's a good
yeah. But speaking of supplements, we've got some really good stuff to talk about in the world of CBD, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I really want to kind of circle back before we start the new year and just get into like where we are in hempland, where we are in CBDville. And, you know, like some big things happen at the end of last year that can really direct us into like what we could expect last year. Like the FDA, they rejected the NDI from Charlotte's Web and Irwin Naturals, which was, you know, they seem to be clinging to the idea that full spectrum hemp is the same as the CBD isolate at 1,500 milligrams of isolate. Like, oh my God, stop that.
I think, I just, I think that they kind of signaled at the end of last year that it's going to take legislation. So there's legislation going through the House, there's legislation going through the Senate. I would encourage everybody, seriously, contact your legislators. It's important from a consumer safety and labeling standpoint and all of the stuff that's important to keeping our industry clean and well managed.
And the US Hemp, the Hemp Supporter US Hemp Roundtable, they have a nice little platform that you can easily contact your representative on that.
Well, that's my New Year's wish. Please do that, everybody. It really is important. I mean, it's a big deal.
Right.
But some good things happened, like you said, some state legislation, California.
Yeah. California AB 45 passed. So that finally opened up. That was like a 3-year struggle. But so finally it officially legalizes CBD in California. So that's cool. And yeah, I mean, it's state by state, but we really do need a federal solution here. We
do. So let's get it done. That's hopefully what will happen in 2022. That's my personal little dream.
I like that. So, you know, I also want to talk about, I put together a gallery right at the end of the year on newhope.com on 10 new CBD products that signal kind of the path forward. So yeah, Ola, you've got it on your screen right there.
Yeah.
Let's kind of run through these a little bit. Aprico, this is from Quicksilver. It's kind of a spinoff from Quicksilver Scientific, which is renowned for their bioavailability enhancing nanoparticles. And so they've taken this and they've gone kind of high end. They're looking this to be a real boutique product with high bioavailability, stress ingredients. So it's got the CBD, it's got the theanine and the GABA and things like that. And they taste good. I tasted some of them and they're yummy.
Oh, yeah. And everybody loves gummies. So, and they're really pretty. I mean, let's be honest. Very, very attractive product.
Yeah. So I know we're going to talk more about gummies because gummies are a thing, but let's move on for a second. This is cool where mushrooms and shrooms are happening. And so now we're mixing CBD with mushrooms in this Buddha tea, right? So that's cool.
I'm excited to try this one. I'm a huge tea drinker. There is so much great stuff happening with mushrooms. And like you said, to combine that with CBD is a really interesting innovation, I think. So yeah, cool product.
And I tasted it and it was like a light mushroom. So like it wasn't like too danky, you know. It was like they put some other things in like lemongrass to kind of like simmer it out a little.
So it wasn't like chewing the forest floor.
It was not. It was good.
Some mushroom things you gotta like commit, but this is cool. All right, let's look at the next one. Now we're pivoting from tea to coffee.
Right. You know, if you're going to have tea, you're going to have coffee. And so I don't do coffee because the caffeine freaks me out a little too much. If you can imagine, I'm kind of a little high wired guy, but not on caffeine, just water. But this is good because the promise is the CBD kind of like takes the edge off of the caffeine from coffee. So that's interesting, right?
Yeah, it's cool. And it's like a nice kind of artisanal sort of vibe to it, you know, with your heavy bearded man. It's a very manly feeling thing. So men should have their own coffee. We're cool with that. We can give you that.
Millennial coffee. Yeah. You could almost feel the beard on that.
It'll make the hair grow. All right. We'll keep it going. Another nice looking packaging and more gummies.
Yeah. So Palmetto Harmony merged with Re Botanicals. And so this is more gummies and by a top quality brand. So I love it. You know,
sleep and focus, two things I think all of us could use more of. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, this is cool. This was probably the story in hemp in 2021, which is the minor cannabinoids, like not CBD and THC, but the minor ones. And so CBG for focus, CBN is used for sleep. And so this one actually won the Nexty award from Expo East. So really cool brand with CBG, which is kind of the mother cannabinoid.
Yeah, exactly.
On a regenerative farm in New York using Oregon seeds. So
I think we're going to see a lot more with CBG as we move forward. That's, you know, and other cannabinoids. But I think CBG being that sort of mother cannabinoid is one we're going to start seeing more and more of.
I love it. So there's a little commercial. And then this was so fascinating that it made the New York Times, and not in the best way. The New York Times was making the case that the science on this wasn't as ironclad as they would like it to be, which you're always going to get that in a supplement. But it showed that this is a CBD product that leads to weight loss. So it's like, oh wow, like that's like the opposite, right? Like not munchies, but you know, it makes you lose weight. So I think that's really interesting. I think it was sort of like a pilot study, fantastic results, and you know, more studies have to go, but I think this is really interesting. So
yeah, this was interesting, and I looked at those results, and pretty compelling story. So we'll see where they go with this.
Right.
All right.
And, here's our old friends, Hemp Fusion. What do you know about Hemp Fusion and stress support?
Just a little bit. Yeah, no. So this is, you know, our product from Hemp Fusion. And, you know, again, like many of these, you know, Hemp Fusion, the name came from fusing, you know, hemp ingredients with other ingredients. And as we've seen a lot of these innovations and where things are going, you know, I think a lot of other companies are moving in this direction. But yeah, this is has ashwagandha, you know, and
a quality ashwagandha. That was the Essential Real branded ingredient.
Yeah, this is a clinically studied, scientifically studied ashwagandha branded ingredients. So yeah, I mean, but again, CBD plus other ingredients, these, you know, this is one of our better selling products. So this is our sleep product. So yeah, moving on.
I love that. So this is really interesting. This peels, it's from orange peels, and it's got cannabidiol from orange peels. And so because it has, you know, it's got, that's the source, it has 0 THC in it. So like if you're a retailer and, you know, certainly like a mass market one, and you're like concerned about the THC, here we have like CBD 0 THC because it comes from oranges. So
I remember seeing something like 3 years ago, somebody was doing something from like pine or something like that, pine cones or some other ingredient like this. Yeah. And it was really interesting kind of looking at that. So yeah, pretty fascinating. Be interesting to see where that goes.
Right. And then here, this is just another one that it's kind of a, you know, it's one of those kitchen sink type of things with CBD and other ingredients, right? So yeah, that's nice. Kind of more of the same on that front. And then this is cool, the Reset Bioscience. This was a Nexty finalist because of its bioavailability enhancing, and that's been a big thing, is bioavailability. So yeah.
Super cool. And then, you know, when it comes to supplements, that's really important, especially anything that's oil-based, as we know. So, hey, just quick, first of all, great article. I encourage everybody to check this out, 10 CBD products that signal a new direction in hemp, by Todd Runestad. But I feel like you forgot one, Todd, and I'm going to have to put in a plug for one of my personal faves here is, you know, we looked at all these ingredients combining CBD or hemp-derived, you know, extracts with other ingredients. Chocolate the friend to all people. I want to just say, I mean, I think the one you missed was Winged Wellness's dark chocolate, you know,
Right.
and they're hibiscus infused. They've got all these other ingredients, and they're yummy, and they're chocolate, and they're CBD. So then you can just have yeah, they're great.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really cool. I also I've been thinking a lot about topicals, and like Charlotte's Web has a big line. Plus CBD oil has arthritis pain relief,
Yeah.
and it's like a cream or a gel or a balm or a salve, whatever. There's all kinds of different definitions, I guess. Like I have here's this is Muscle MX, and that's a balm, and then but we've got creams here, and this is a cream for my hair. I was supposed to put this on. I know it's a little too late for me to look good, but there it is. Creams work.
Look at you. You look very, yeah, almost mafia. I like it.
Almost.
All right.
Yeah, I'm going to put that on my business card. Almost. Todd Runestad.
And with that, I think we have to wrap it up with your new mafia look. But yeah,
hilarious.
great article. I hope everybody reads that, and it is really cool to see where the industry's going. That's for sure.
Yeah, love that. All right, so now we're going to go to Andrea Wong at Council for Responsible Nutrition, who's going to give us a little Viva la Vitamins on folate. So take it away, Andrea.
Thank you, Todd, and hi again, everyone. Today, I will be talking to you about B9, or more commonly referred to as folate. Folate and folic acid are forms of the water-soluble B9 vitamin. Folate dark green leafy vegetables, nuts, legumes, fruits, as well as meat and seafood. Folic acid is also added to some foods, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. Folic acid, the synthetic form, is frequently included in combination with other B vitamins in B complex formulations. It's also found in most prenatal multivitamins and in multivitamins and supplements containing only folic acid. Another form you'll see in supplements is 5-methyl tetrahydrofolate, or 5-MTHF, also known as methylfolate. According to the 2020 CRN Consumer Survey, 7% of supplement users report taking folic acid supplements, and they are more popular among female users. Many of you have probably heard that folate is important for the prevention of birth defects, specifically neural tube defects. These are the most common major defects of the central nervous system and result in malformations of the brain, skull, and spine. The critical period for the formation of the neural tube is during the first month after conception, often when many women don't even know they're pregnant yet. Research, including clinical trials, show that adequate folic acid intake in women before and during the first few weeks of pregnancy prevents a large proportion of neural tube defects. The role of folic acid in the prevention of neural tube defects has led to several government recommendations and fortification policies. In 1991, the CDC recommended that women who had a pregnancy affected by a neural tube defect consume folic acid before planning to get pregnant again. And then in 1992, the US Public Health Service recommended that all women who could become pregnant get 400 micrograms of folic acid a day. In 1998, FDA began requiring manufacturers to add folic acid to a variety of grain products. This fortification program increased folic acid intake by 190 micrograms per day. And in 2016, FDA approved the voluntary addition of folic acid to corn masa flour. Continuing today, the US Preventive Services Task Force recommends that all women who are planning to or capable of getting pregnant take a daily supplement containing 400 to 800 micrograms of folic acid a day. And the 2020 to 2025 Dietary Guidelines for Americans reinforces this recommendation. Other research roles of folate include brain health, for cognitive function, dementia, Alzheimer's disease, depression, and autism, cardiovascular health, in particular for stroke prevention, and cancer, but this may depend on the timing of intake. The recommended dietary allowances, or RDAs, for folate are expressed in dietary folate equivalents, or DFE. These reflect the difference in bioavailability between supplemental folic acid and folate from food sources. The daily RDA for adults is 400 micrograms DFE and is higher for pregnancy and lactation. Isolated folate deficiency is uncommon, and deficiency usually coexists with other nutrient deficiencies because of its association with poor diet, alcoholism, and malabsorptive disorders. As mentioned earlier, women who have insufficient folate intake are at increased risk of giving birth to infants with neural tube defects. Groups at risk of folate inadequacy include women of childbearing age, pregnant women, people with malabsorptive disorders, and people with a genetic polymorphism who have an impaired ability to convert folate to its active form. The tolerable upper intake level, or UL, for folate from supplements and fortified food is 1,000 micrograms in adults. This is to prevent high intakes of folic acid from masking B12 deficiency. Although some people are concerned about unmetabolized folic acid in the blood, the CDC states that no confirmed health risks have been found. Folate supplements have the potential to interact with several medications. A few examples include methotrexate, which is used to treat cancer and autoimmune diseases. Folate supplements can interfere with the medication's effects. Anti-epileptic medications, which can reduce serum folate levels, and vice versa. And sulfasalazine, which is used to treat ulcerative colitis and can cause folate deficiency. Individuals taking these medications should discuss their intake of folate with their healthcare providers. Thank you for your time, and please feel free to contact me with any questions about folate or any other dietary supplement ingredients.
Awesome. Thank you. That was really great. And, folic acid, life doesn't happen without it, right? So.
Right. I wonder if there's any folic acid in my almost mafia hair.
You like that too much, I'm afraid. We're going to see a whole new you on subsequent shows, I'm sure.
Instead of calling me Toddy Runestad, we should call me Gotti Runestad.
Yes, we might start.
Right. All right. Hey, so now let's just finish the show off. At SupplySide West last Halloweenish, we had Ingredient Idol. And so you can find more of that on naturalproductsinsider.com. And so we have a great interview with one of the winners, and it's Jackson Zapp from AFS, Applied Food Sciences, with its AmaTea ingredient, the ingredient of the year. Let's check out this cool information about AmaTea. Take it away. Jackson, thanks for joining us. You look great there. How are you?
Thank you, Todd. Good morning. How are you?
I'm excellent. I'm excellent. So let's just start off a little bit. Applied Food Sciences. How did it get its start? Like I remember you guys had organic caffeine. That was like when you first got on my radar.
Mm-hmm.
What's the story with Applied Food Sciences? Let's start there. What's the creation?
Our company's been around for about 20 years, and really we kind of paved the way for organic botanicals to kind of replace synthetic ingredients in our world, in our products. And our mission is kind of to create and find from nature, to find something that's going to help fill a solution for customers, but also have unique ratios, whether it's how we do our extractions, where we source from, staying in that very upper echelon of organic, naturally sourced. And so our company's been kind of doing this organic thing before it was really popular. And I remember people telling me 15 years ago, you'll never sell organic caffeine. You'll never sell, there's no way anyone's going to pay for that. And at the end of the day, customers are driven by what they want and what their needs are for whether it's Whole Foods or whatever store they're going into. And a lot of those things align with organic. So we kind of positioned ourselves there, and we consider ourselves a leader in organic botanicals, especially in categories like immune function, energy. And we've been doing really well, and just kind of excited to continue to pave the way through R&D and new innovation.
Yeah, and it seems like a lot of the discovery of these new ingredients that you have, they're all kind of like in the Western Hemisphere, in Central America, in the Amazon. So what's the story? Are you still foraging around in the rainforest there?
Yeah, absolutely. I've actually been lucky. I've been with the company 16 years, and I've had the privilege of going to 6 continents. I've been in Fiji sourcing kava. I've been in Brazil looking at coffee berries, and India looking at green tea and ginger. And, I'm really blessed to have been able to travel the world. And I think until you get a chance to really go and see what the cultural use is for a botanical ingredient and find out where it comes from and what its story is, that's really how you can help position yourself to be like the best in terms of how its functionality is going to work. And a great example is that the guayusa ingredient, the AmaTea, that we presented at Ingredient Idol, it was perfect because we went down to Ecuador. We listened to the Quechua tribe story about the traditional uses. Then we studied it for its efficacy in terms of how it works in the body as a science-based company, and created this ingredient. So it's kind of, you know, paving that way of going across the world to find cool and unique botanicals and then turning them into a mainstream ingredient is really a unique way that our company works. We don't try to do hundreds of ingredients for a reason. Like, we want to have a small portfolio of things that we do really well, that we can have a great supply chain and have the capacity to source for very, very large companies. And we're doing that at a really high level right now.
So that's cool. So guayusa, it's a cousin to yerba mate, which is, it is a caffeine source, but guayusa, it kind of responds differently than other caffeine sources, right? Like it also has these nootropic effects, like mood and cognitive focus. It almost, like, I was thinking about this, and you guys won in the energy category, but you almost could have played in the cognitive category too, right? I mean, interesting ingredients.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the real benefits of guayusa, just the plant material itself. So when we were looking at different botanicals, we knew yerba mate had a position in the energy space, and guayusa is actually a cousin plant to yerba mate. So we said, okay, well, what's unique about this? And we realized it's a whole different type of plant. It is, from a scientific side, it's very different from other caffeine sources because it doesn't have this spike on your epinephrine, which is essentially your fight or flight hormone. So if you and I drink a cup of coffee or a cup of black tea or green tea or something, the caffeine is designed to hit your adrenal, spike your epinephrine. That's a response your body wants to have. Well, that's great if you're wanting to go exercise, you're doing CrossFit or something. But for a lot of us that are just at work and we need mental focus and not the energy jittery kind of craziness of having too much coffee, guayusa really fits the bill. It hits your body very differently, and it doesn't have a spike in your epinephrine. It's one of the most unique botanical caffeine sources that contains caffeine, but doesn't react the same way caffeine does in your body. So what it does is it increases your dopamine, which is like your motivational hormone, your serotonin, which is your pleasure mood, enhancement, but it doesn't give you that flighty, jittery kind of energy that is in the body. So we say it's kind of like it enlightens the mind, and it's when we were talking to the people in native, they said this is how it unlocks your intuition. And it was a really unique way, in Spanish, they told us that it was for your intuition, which is how they say, they could see if there was a snake down the road because they were drinking guayusa, or they would know if it was going to rain 2 days before and they would set up camp because they were drinking guayusa, because their mental clarity was so impacted by taking and drinking the tea from these leaves.
That I love that. That's like really awesome. And those Amazonian tribes, they would call it the night watchman, right? Like,
yeah.
So what's the story behind that phrase?
It's actually a cool story. So what they would do is they would go on these the traditional use they would take, and they'd boil the tea into like a concentrate, and they would drink it in the middle of the night, and then they'd go set up on these late hunting parties. And a lot of times they'd have watchmen to watch the village that would have to be perfectly still. And then on their hunting parties, they'd have to be perfectly still in their body, but completely energized in the brain. So they would need to be ready in case an intruder came, or a boar or a deer or something came that they would need to hunt, but their bodies would need to be perfectly calm. And so the night watchman term was coined by the guayusa being a mental energy as opposed to a physical energy in the way that it reacts in the body. And so, of course, being a science company, Applied Food Sciences, we're like, we got to figure out why this is. And we started doing double-blind placebo crossover studies on blood serum and looking at how it reacts in the body and why it's doing this stuff. And we found out that there's an actual reason how it reacts in the body, that it was making it successful for these night watchmen to be completely calm, but like jazzed up in their brain.
I love that. I mean, I'm sure you've spent a lot of time down there, like with all these different tribes, like very different cultures, and just seeing how they use kind of like the the sort of neighborhood bioactives, the plant material, to really improve their lives, improve their performance. That just has to be such a great experience to go and discover a lot of these compounds, right?
And it's interesting because the proof is in the pudding, they say. So I was, a little skeptical, and I was like, I'm going to try taking guayusa, and I'm a coffee junkie by fault. I've been drinking coffee forever. So I'm like, I'm going to switch to guayusa in the mornings, and I'm going to just give it a try for a week. And interesting things happened where a friend that I hadn't talked to in over a year, a good friend from high school, I had a dream about him. And the next morning, as I woke up, like the first thing in the morning, he called me and he said, I'm getting married. Do you want to be a groomsman in the wedding? And I was like, this is so weird. I haven't thought about you in a year. And then I've been drinking this guayusa, and I had this dream that you were in, and all of a sudden you called me. And I started noticing weird things, like my phone would ring and I would know, oh, that's my brother calling. And then I'd look in the caller ID and it would be my brother. And I'd be like, it was a very unique thing that I couldn't say, wow, this is just a bunch of coincidences, or maybe, there is something to the way my brain is starting to function with this intuition and how this ingredient might be impacting my brain function. So it's a really, seeing the cultural use and then seeing it in my life, being in, the United States. And it was really cool to connect the dots.
I love that. And so I don't want to get too far afield from AmaTea. I want to dig into this ingredient, but everything you're talking about, I can't help but think ayahuasca. When are we going to start to see that on store shelves? Or is that just going to be, some of the adventure tourism sort of?
So funny enough, a lot of the tribes in the Amazon are very big into ayahuasca, and they consider it a crucial part of growing up and expanding your mind to a different level. And I don't think it's going to become a mainstream ingredient because it's very psychedelic, and it's, but it is like, there are certain plants that the native cultures consider to be like alive. And ayahuasca is one of the plants that they consider to be alive. They consider it to be like a father plant, and it'll tell you what you're doing wrong and what you're doing right, and like really like get in your brain. But they also said uniquely that the guayusa is a mother plant. It's a very nurturing plant. It helps let you see things that mothers would try to help you do. It's very interesting that you brought that up, because there's different botanicals that can do different things. And the fact that we can create something that's safe. We have both self-affirmed and FDA no comment grass on this ingredient. So we've gone through a lot of rigors in terms of getting in touch with the FDA to make sure that as a novel energy source, this is going to be safe for consumption in food and beverage, as well as supplement use. So going through all these steps as an ingredient company, but then also still having the nutritive values of the core plant is really important to make something that's safe and efficacious for the people that are going to use it.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that you brought up the grass, not just self-affirmed grass, but the FDA no objection, because that's that extra step in the grass that's really going to open doors to the big multinationals, to the Pepsis and Cokes, like I don't think they would respond quite as favorably if it's just a self grass. So you guys have actually gone that extra step to really demonstrate the safety of this ingredient. And so now with the really interesting properties of it, I mean, this, and of course you won Ingredient Idol, you guys are off to the races, right?
Yeah. And I think that you're going to see the category for energy continue to evolve, because let's face it, like a lot of our culture, we don't sleep enough. We're constantly addicted to our screens. So our circadian rhythms are going to be interrupted by light, and our, your first thing you do when you wake up and first thing you do before you go to bed is a lot of times look at your phone. So our culture, instead of saying we need to take a break, we need to be healthier, we need to sleep more, we're just going to take more energy ingredients, and we're just going to, just deal with the fact that we're, so I think the energy category is going to continue to evolve to find how can I be better and not just down this same road of pumping as much caffeine in my body as possible. And so I really feel in the next, 3 to 5 years, you're going to see guayusa become a more mainstream ingredient. You're going to see a lot of big companies launching with guayusa, and it has a very different feel. It's a big play on cognitive focus and how it works in the brain. So I continue to see this paradigm of energy evolving to the next generation of caffeine. And I think that these botanicals are right in line with that kind of movement.
Yeah, I love that. We only have about a minute left. So, but is this different from guayusa? Is it like, have you standardized it or done something different than what might be considered a commodity guayusa?
Yeah, so we actually worked on getting a patent for extraction processing. So that was a first step we did. And we're essentially concentrating this ingredient up into a standardized level of caffeine. If you imagine the tea leaves themselves are pretty low in caffeine, between 1% to 3%. So if you take just ground guayusa tea leaves and you brew it, you're going to have a very low percentage of caffeine. Well, we want to be able to concentrate this up, including the antioxidants, including the valuable chlorogenic acids, the rutin, the other botanicals, antioxidants that are found in the leaf, and make a concentrate that you can use a very small amount, say 500 milligrams, to get a cup of coffee's worth of energy, plus all the benefits of the antioxidants and the botanicals. So we've created this more of like a concentrated version of it in our extraction, and that's what we're selling as AmaTea.
I love that. So the energy category is poised to evolve and to improve. And we're here with Jackson Zapp, the Vice President of Innovation at Applied Food Sciences. AmaTea is the ingredient. It's the winner of Ingredient Idol SupplySide West 2021. Jackson, great talking to you today. Good luck with AmaTea. It seems like a really great ingredient for the market.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Todd. And always appreciate talking to you, and look forward to catching up with you at the next trade show.
That sounds great. Thanks, Jackson.
We got your supplements and functional foods, legal developments, ingredient news, education, inspiration.